Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I've been seeing all your comments on TikTok asking me for reviews analysis for this one. So today, it's finally happening. But before we get into that, don't forget to check this exclusive discount for it. You can find the link in both the video description and the top comment below. Now let's not delay any further and jump right into the details.
To get things started, let's hear from our first reviewer.
This reviewer found that despite a very rough first impression, this gaming mouse completely transformed their in-game performance. At a glance, they felt its design was dated, almost as if it belonged to a different era of hardware. When placed next to another popular lightweight mouse, its aesthetic shortcomings were even more apparent. The lighting implementation seemed like an afterthought, with uneven brightness that couldn't compare to the effects on other models. The texture also felt like cheap plastic, lacking the premium finish our reviewer had grown accustomed to with a previous device. However, all those initial criticisms faded away the moment they launched a first-person shooter. This is where the mouse truly excels, particularly for anyone using a fingertip grip. The shape felt odd at first, and the reviewer couldn't quite figure out where to comfortably place their fingers, but in the heat of a match, none of that mattered. Their tracking and aim seemed to improve instantly and intuitively, feeling like a natural extension of their hand. This newfound aiming prowess allowed them to free up mental energy to focus on broader game sense and strategy, making them a more effective player overall. That said, the device is not without its quirks. The client noted a strange, overly aggressive feedback on the left mouse button when pressed down firmly, which was distracting while sniping. They wondered if this might be a quality control issue. The scroll wheel was deemed adequate but not as satisfying as on other mice. Ultimately, our reviewer concluded that this is a highly specialized tool. It's not built for comfort during general computer use, and it certainly won't win any design awards, but for competitive gamers with a specific grip style who prioritize raw performance above all else, this mouse is a game changer that has now become their primary choice.
Excellent. Let's find out what our next reviewer has to share about their experience.
This reviewer absolutely loves this mouse, but thinks prospective buyers should be aware of the learning curve. They had played a lot of competitive shooters over the years, but their playtime had waned recently. When getting back into a certain game about 9 months ago, this client decided to purchase this mouse after watching some videos and doing a bit of research. A reviewer knew going in that they would have to drastically change their grip to fingertip grip, and that some discomfort was likely as they adjusted. For the first week, they had difficulty breaking their old habits and experienced some strain trying to get used to it. However, once they acclimated, their scores and aim trainers noticeably improved compared to their previous mouse and grip. They've been using this mouse daily since then and are surprised by how comfortable it is, especially considering they have slightly larger hands and had spent the last decade using a palm grip, which is practically the opposite of what this mouse encourages. This reviewer also wanted to mention that they encountered a minor issue at one point, and the Amazon support team was incredibly helpful and resolved everything quickly. As tips for anyone considering this mouse, the reviewer suggests focusing on forcing your fingertips to the front tip of the mouse, as this is the key to its design and benefits. Embrace the shape and don't try to revert to your old grip. Furthermore, while imitating pro players' grip can be a good starting point, remember that everyone's hands are different. Finding your own comfortable and consistent grip is crucial. Also, for gamers who use lower sensitivity settings, a low-friction, fast mousepad might be a better match for this very light mouse. Ultimately, if the initial adjustment sounds too demanding, this mouse might not be the right fit, but for those willing to put in the effort, even intermediate players may find it incredibly rewarding.
Alright, let's find out what our next reviewer has to share.
This reviewer was initially just looking for something new to try, picking up this gaming mouse almost on a whim. The original plan was to use it exclusively for games, but surprisingly, it's become their go-to mouse for everything, despite a few quirks. The first thing you'll notice is how unique this mouse looks. It's definitely not a design you'd see from the mainstream brands. Be warned, the shape is quite particular and it might not be comfortable for everyone, especially if you prefer a palm grip. It's a fairly small mouse overall. The buttons feel great and the cable is nice and light, allowing for smooth movement. Even the RGB lighting is surprisingly appealing. This client usually turns RGB off on their devices, but found the default lighting pattern on this mouse to be quite attractive, and there are plenty of options to choose from. One of the more unusual aspects is that there's no software to install. You can update the firmware through the manufacturer's website, but unfortunately, they won't open source the firmware, so the mouse isn't programmable at all. Given the price, that's definitely a drawback, but this client has managed to adjust. If there's one significant flaw, it's the scroll wheel. Our reviewer really doesn't like it. It sits too low in the body, making it hard to use for things like dragging. The surface of the wheel is too smooth, and the edges are rounded off, which leads to poor tactile feedback while scrolling. The middle button requires too much force to press comfortably. Despite these issues, this client would recommend this mouse, especially to gamers who use a fingertip or claw grip. Even palm grip users who are curious might find it worthwhile. They've personally enjoyed using it and have even seen improvements in their aim. If the manufacturer could improve the scroll wheel and add some level of programmability in a future version, it would be a near-perfect device.
That's it for today's review. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and let's chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.